Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this panel discussion about the European Union Prize for Literature, EUPL for short. I'm Lambrini Kuzeli. I'm a book critic and journalist in Tovima newspaper. And we're going to be discussing about this very European award that promotes literature across Europe with two award winners of the EUPL and one nominee. So it's Raquel Martinez Gomez from Spain, Lydia Dimkovska from North Macedonia, and Mikes Malafekas from Greece. Welcome you all. We are very curious to share about your, to hear about your experience with this award. I don't know if you are familiar all with the EUPL. I'll just say briefly that it is an award that has been established in 2009. It has recognized 176 authors so far. It was a rather large selection during the first years of the award. There are many associations, publishers associations behind the award. The FEP, the Federation of European Publishers, the European and International Booksellers Federation. Creative Europe, of course, is supporting economically the award, the program of the European Union, that is. And it's an award that reads and recognizes not only books from the countries that already participate in the European Union, but also by authors from countries that are nominees or are considered to be joining the European Union. So, Raquel, you were the first of the three to get awarded by the award. Very soon, actually, in the next year of the award, 2010, wasn't it? Yes. Raquel was born in La Mancha, and she has published 5 novels so far. The awarded novel, Sombras de Unicorno, was, I think, your second novel? It was published in 2007 in Spain. It was awarded the EUPL in 2010. You currently live in Madrid.
In the mountain?
Yeah, and you have studied comparative literature and international relations. So let's start with Raquel. I would like you to tell us a little bit about your book, what it is about, and the journey you had towards the award.
So, Haristopoli, to be here. I am very happy to be here today in the Thessaloniki Book Fair with you. Thank you, the European Union Prize for Literature, to invite. Of course, I wrote this novel 22 years ago. You can imagine what it means for a writer talking about the book when the book was written in the Pleistocene, no? So it's difficult. But yes, it's a book that I was very young when I was a young woman, and I am not anymore. But I was a young woman at that time. I was looking for my own path, like the two main characters. Then, of course, I invented one of the, but it was a moment that I was very, I want to communicate something that I could was the same in Madrid because a lot of migrants came, and I was myself a migrant from La Mancha. I was born, like she said, in La Mancha, like Don Quixote, the place that when Don Quixote fights against windmills. So, and I want to talk about this story of migrant, because I think migration always I can understand people who is against migrant. I think we all are migrant. So the story was based in stories that I hear a little bit, but also about my own experience in countries such as Mexico and Argentina. When I taught in two universities, I went to a university in the northeast of Argentina, and also I taught in another in northern Mexico. So this character was based in this story, but also in my own experience with the huge river in the Cono Sur, and also about my experience with this vast desert in the northern Mexico. So, but I finished now because I prefer to talk about my new novel.
What? How did this novel reach the list of the nominees for the EUPL award? How was the journey? Yeah, how was your journey towards the award?
Okay. As you say before, it was the first years of the award, so I didn't know about this prize, because now perhaps it's more well known. So at that time I was living in UK, in Sussex, and someone write me and say, you are nominated because participate in now the process of juries has changed a lot. You know, well, then we can talk about that perhaps, because I think it's interested in terms of multicultural and multilinguistic issues. Sorry for that. But yes, someone wrote me, and I started really a journey from this, because it was important for me. Wasn't, of course, translation was very important, but was also important as a writer. That is like someone give it to you a safe conduct pass to really to meet people from all Europe, and to meet its stories, and also to have new experiences in life. And at the end, at the same time, you offer your books, and at the same time, you receive experience to write new things, no? And that happened really in this long journey in 15 years, actually.
Lydia, you were the awarded author of the award in 2013 with a novel called Spare Life, the English translation, about two Macedonian Siamese twins. So tell us a little bit more about the book and your own journey towards your own experience of the EUPL, please.
Thank you very much. Hello? Do you hear me? Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizers to invite me, because this is a very historical moment for me. I am for the first time as a poet and a writer in Greece. And this book, A Spare Life, is my first book translated in Greek. I'm from North Macedonia, and between Greece and North Macedonia, there were no connections for so long that even if we were neighbors, we didn't know each other. So when we signed the agreement between the two countries, when we changed the name of my country, somehow the frontier was open also for the literature. So immediately after that, the poetry magazine Teflon published a big part of my poetry in Greek. And after that came the offer for publishing my novel A Spare Life in Greek. And this year, or maybe next year, my newest novel, Unique Personal Number, will be published also in Greek by Vahikon. So for me, this is really very big event, because I traveled with this novel and with other books of mine all around the world, but never to Greece. The book itself is actually about Siamese twins, Srebra and Zlata. The names are connected with silver and gold. They grew up in Skopje, in North Macedonia, and they want to separate each other. They have actually conjoined heads, and you can imagine how difficult it is to live with conjoined heads. To function in your everyday life, to go to toilet, to make shower, and so on. So they want so much to separate themselves and to everyone to be unique with her own identity, her own wishes, and her own life. Finally, it happened, but I will not discover the end of the book. Of course, you can read it. But the book absolutely is connected also with the time of ex-Yugoslavia, when Yugoslavia separated, when the republics in Yugoslavia separated each other from. You know, in every separation, even if we agree to separate with a person, I don't know, between countries and so on, everyone is in a way a victim. And always it is blood or war or some other problems. So in my novel, this allegory actually of the separations of Zlata and Srebra, two simple girls from working class family from Skopje, actually is very, very similar to the separation of republics in ex-Yugoslavia. I was nominated for the prize, even I didn't know about that, but before the prize of European Union, I got the prize in North Macedonia of the Writers Association of North Macedonia for the best prose book. The novel also was shortlisted for the Novel of the Year prize, that is the biggest prize in North Macedonia, and my last novel actually last year got this prize. So it was a kind of normal way, I mean, to get the prize of European Union. You know, North Macedonia is a very small country, and when a book has a national success, it is a kind of immediately for the readers kind of international possibility, you know, to promote the literature from North Macedonia. So it was in a way simple, and of course it gave the book many opportunities after that. Firstly, in North Macedonia, where the book so far has 5 editions, and it is, you know, for a country with 2 million people, quite a big number of editions of a novel. And after that, it was translated in, I think so far 11 languages, but at the moment it is also in process of translating in Ukrainian and Amharic language. Also, a screenplay writer wrote a screenplay based on the novel. We actually hope for equalization once, and exactly here in Greece at Zagori Film Festival, the pilot episode of this film and series was awarded for the best screenplay. So we hope that one day we will see also the novel on the screen. You know, publishers want to publish the novel, but also this story is somehow different from one country to another. Some publishers made a lot for the novel. Some publishers published it because of the grant of European Commission, and they forgot after that the books. So many different experience as a writer who got this prize I have, but mostly of them are positive, and I think that the most positive thing is that, like now, I can speak in front of an audience which is interested in literature, in books. This is the most biggest prize, I think, for us, the writers.
Thank you, Lydia. Lydia is a very prolific author in poetry and prose as well, and translator. She has taught at the University of Bucharest and at the University of Nova Gorica in Slovenia. She runs a literary a literary magazine. She has been participated in literary awards in Macedonia, in North Macedonia. And she's sitting next to her own Mikis Malafekas, who is a nominee for this year's award. He was selected by the Greek jury to be the Greek nominee for the award. Mikis has published many novels with a very loved author, a very loved character who is also an author, Michalis Krokos. So tell us about this one, Mikis.
Thank you. And welcome, Lydia, to Greece. You're very welcome here. Oh, you too, Raquel. Yeah. Yes, well, the hero of this book, it's a trilogy, and Deepfake is the last one of the trilogy. And it's with this hero who is an author himself, and every time he's trying to write the book of the previous book that I wrote, or have it published rather, and trying to write the novel while it is happening in every book. So it's a rather meta concept in that sense. But apart from that, it's a series that sort of kidnaps all the forms and the protocols of neo-noir. And you know, these are novels in reality about the world we live in and the life in general, as the saying goes, about very contemporary Greek society and its condition. So the very first was about contemporary art coming suddenly to Athens in the middle of the whole jazzmatazz of the crisis, with all its bling-bling and contradictions. Back in 2017, that was the German Documenta fair. Then the hero goes on holidays in the second book on the island of Ikaria, so we understand what's happening in the Greek summer and all its pathologies and tribes and false myths. And finally, in this one, which is the one that has been nominated, he has to, many years later, after not writing at all for many years, he has to infiltrate an alt-right, which is like a sophisticated far-right organization, and become their writer, so that he can save a friend of his from trouble, only to find that the person who made him do it, who is a district attorney of Athens, is the ex-girlfriend of the chief of that organization, and wants him to infiltrate them for a different reason, because she's victim of revenge porn from that guy, made probably with a technique of deepfake. So there it is. That's a brief description of the whole project, which is a pure literary fantasy of mine that I really wanted to somehow one fine day create, and with a particular vernacular language of my generation, and that's how it happened, really. Crumbling down.
Deepfake was very well received in Greece so far. Lydia was very eloquent in expressing and explaining the opportunities that awarded authors have in front of them when they get the award. Your experience as a nominee, I mean, the nomination has changed anything?
My life is upside down. No, I mean, it's nice, you know. It happened with a phone call. I don't have any other larger experience to give. Someone called me. They gave me the good news. It's good news, you know. It's very good when people like your books and the stories you like. And yeah, it's happening in a week in Prague. And well, what can I say really about this? It's I don't feel I represent something, you know. I don't feel I represent my country. I don't think anyone can represent a country in reality, or the people, or a nation. Or I mean, this is a larger discussion. Our business, though, is language, and in that sense, the Greek language also I don't represent. What I do represent in reality, as a national language, is probably the very, very small group of people with whom I developed my version of Greek, my Greek language. And so I represent them there. I represent those 5-6 people, a very, very small nation, which is totally independent and uncontrollable within Greece.
You got me there, because I was going to ask if you think you represent your respective countries, and if you think you have to be, you have a responsibility of representing your countries after getting the award.
Okay, I am totally agree with Makis about that. No, so I prepare the answer as well. No, but totally agree. So yesterday here we listened in some. There was an event about Arabic translation and a very interested project, and they talk about the universality in literature, and I totally agree. So it's not. So writing about one guy that was here say literature don't represent any country, no, in the Arabic world. It's the same here. So I write and I don't think I represent Spain, and I don't think this is like a football competition. And so for me, the most important, as I said, is universality in literature. And also, I think I am very interested in the role of literature can play to challenge the big challenge that we have as humanity now. So probably it's an individual story, but we have something around of the stories that talk, for example, about our climate crisis, or about what is happening with this big genocide that is happening in Palestine. So, and I think we are here, and it's not to do a pamphlet, but it's to stay in the world, no? To put your feet in the floor and say, okay, this is the time that I am living. I am a writer. So, as I say, I write big part of my novels talk about this, against this idea of borders and what. Just because you was born in a country, you have to be like that? No. So listen, probably I have more than you. I don't know. It's the first time that you meet you, no? But for example, this morning I had breakfast with Lydia. Then I solved a little bit problem of Makis in the hotel. So, and instantly I feel that there is something that is close to my friend from North Macedonia, and Makis from Greece. No, it's the first time that we meet, but I don't know. I never think that any literature can represent a country.
All three novels are contemporary novels, and the settings are very contemporary depiction of your respective countries. For example, someone who lives in Greece and reads Makis' novel can walk in Athens and understand it's the Athens of our days. So isn't that a part of the conception of the award, do you feel? To recognize novels that express universal values or worries, but also give a taste of the multicultural identity of Europe, the many faces, the many different faces of Europe. Do you think that plays a part in the award?
All right. Well, since you mentioned my, and thank you about this, I'm very happy you think that, by the way. Well, yeah, the short answer is yes to what you're asking about. Well, of course, I cannot be in the minds of the people who said, "Oh, that's a good book. Let's push it," as you know. But I guess it played a role because, and I have very consciously tried to do this in the whole series, and it goes via the language, really, the contemporary situation. What I saw at some point, and that concerns only the Greek prose, I cannot speak about the Macedonian or Spanish, but what I think I saw at a certain point is that Greek prose wasn't, in my eyes, satisfactory enough because it was filled with all those old baggages of symbolism and lyricism and heavy metaphor and flashbacks and all that. And what I felt that needed to be said, especially during the time of the crisis and the post-crisis, and in a way the crisis that is still happening in Greece, because I mean, let's face it, it's not really over, is it? The stories needed to be said in a very contemporary way through a language of crisis. And that has happened in the past. I mean, we know the examples from literature that rose after the crash of 1929, all the crisis of the 70s in Latin America, in France as well. And so that developed a very dry and direct language, which I got really interested in. And maybe this was a factor, but again, it's not really for me to say because I mean, people who liked my book could talk about that. I could not, you know what I'm saying.
I'm not sure that the jury in North Macedonia actually decided in this pattern, the book to be, I don't know, multicultural or good for Europe or so. No, I think they decided on the base of the story, actually. And North Macedonia during the wars in ex-Yugoslavia was not involved in the wars at all. So we were a kind of oasis of the peace. And there are no novels about these topics, actually, of separation of Yugoslavia in North Macedonian literature. Nobody wrote about that because it was not our problem in a way. And also I needed a very big time distance to write about these problems, to write from the perspective of two young Macedonian girls who grew up during the separation of ex-Yugoslavia. But the story, every good story must be very universal, It is very local, maybe, yes. You will see Skopje, and for me it's very funny that sometimes I find the novel on some list. If you want to visit North Macedonia, you can read Asper Life or so. In Asper Life, Skopje, North Macedonia, ex-Yugoslavia is very, very present, also geographically and geopolitical and so on. But I think that in literature, only the story is important. So if the story is good, everyone can identify with it. The biggest success my novel had actually in the States. Not in the countries maybe around me, but in the States, where you can think that people cannot identify with your novel because they live so far away and they even didn't know exactly what happened in Yugoslavia and so on. But when I was there for a big tour and I met people, they were very interested in the story because they could feel themselves actually in the personages of Zlata and Srebra and the other personages in my novel. So I think that the story, even if it is very local, national, you know, it must be universal to remain. Otherwise, we will have work with literature that is very national. But you know, actually, the system of national literature puts us as writers who represent the national literatures. I wrote this novel in Slovenia, where I have been living for 24 years. So, you know, I can say that now, at the moment, I represent also Slovenia because I have citizenship and so on, and I live there. I write in Macedonian, but I live in Slovenia. And before Slovenia, I also used to live in Romania. So the world is my, you know, I'm cosmopolitan. And simply, I don't recognize the national literatures as very important, and I cannot identify only with the literature of my country, but with all literatures I like. When I like a writer, I like actually the literature. So in this way, literature is always universal. As Goethe also said that there is a world literature. National literatures are very romantic in a way, but also very dangerous, you know. From national, it is very easy to become nationalist.
She's very right. They're all three people of the world. They have lived in their countries, and Raquel has lived in UK as well. Mike lives in Athens and Brussels, so they move around, they travel a lot. They're people of the world. You don't write in other languages except from your own mother language. Is that correct? But you're fluent in
I write in French sometimes.
But how do you feel about that? I mean, I think that this award is exactly focused on going further and overcome the barrier of language. In the cases of Greek and North Macedonia, the small languages, you don't have the same experience with Spanish, obviously, Raquel. What did it mean for you, the award, and what does it mean to give you the opportunity to reach other languages larger than your own? An award such as that gives you the visibility.
I want to say, of course, all the languages have the same value, no? Because there is a world and culture behind of every language. But it's true that I am lucky because the thing that I write has a potential to be translated, to be read for more 500,000 of people, no? So a part of for example, this novel is a big group, but it's Planeta, but was published in Mexico. So it's the Mexico publishing house of Planeta. So yes, this is different, and I support the idea that the minority language needs public policies, no? Specifically literature, no? So and I think the European Union Prize and Creative Europe is doing that, no? Probably it could be better, but it's like that, no? And for example, the the novel, the awarded novel, was translated into 10 languages. And now I have a beautiful, beautiful experience that I would like to share with us, because it's related with my translator who is here, Greek translator, who is translator this book. And for example, it's about the Mayan civilization and archaeologists. And see, for example, when we have a very fluent conversation and exchange, and she finished the first draft, and one of the things that I love is when she wrote me and said, Raquel, why do you use this word that is not in the dictionary? For example, that is amanecer. That in Spanish is a mix between Havana, La Habana, the capital of Cuba, and the sunrise, no? And she said, because, and I don't invent that, it's very common in Cuban literature and music, but in Greek, how you can translate it? And she proposed me, okay, there is Anatoly, if I am right, is sunrise, no? So use Anatoly and say, yes, this is the word. So, and I think the translation is a beautiful thing when you have this contact and your translator is like Tina, no? Then we can, because it's not always possible. Imagine if I have to, so it was impossible in the past. Now I try to have this contact, because if they are translating in your own language, in your mother language, it's because they know well. And she's very, she look for all the nuances of the word in Spanish, and the danger is that she find all the things that I write wrong. So she said, one day, the only thing that I found in the novel that me and the publisher in Mexico don't realize, she realized and say, now I need to change in the new edition. So it was my Greek translator who discovered, and was something related with the Spanish culture. Okay, I leave it here.
What was the question, actually? Of languages, yeah. So the novel Spare Life actually in Greek was translated by from English, you know. Yes, unfortunately or fortunately, because we didn't have any translator from Macedonian at the time it was translated. But so far, the last novel, Personal Identity Number, was translated by Sotiris Minas, who knows Macedonian so well that I really admire him. And I'm very happy that finally the books from North Macedonia are translated from Macedonian, not from English or French or other languages. It is quite important. And yes, I write only in Macedonian because I consider that I was too old when I moved from Macedonia, and I also already have some books in Macedonian. So for me, it was very strange to begin again, you know, to write as a beginner in other languages. But also, I don't consider the language simply as an instrument, you know. So the language is full of memories of everything. I mean, my childhood was only in Macedonian and so on. So even if I know other languages, of course, firstly, Romanian is, for example, a second language of mine because I really love it, and I used to live for 7 years in Romania, and now it is Slovenian, so quite a strange languages actually to know today. But I never decided to write in other languages, prose and poetry. I can write, and I write other texts, essays, I don't know, my doctoral dissertation in Romania and so on, in Romanian or Slovenian or English. But for prose and poetry, I decided to write only in my own language, because in my own language, I'm, you know, Lidia Dimkovska. My identity is in my language. so I can express myself in the way I want. I think that my poetics will change a lot if I change the language. And why to change the language, you know? I mean, Slovenia is also a very small country. It is only 2 million people, like North Macedonia. So what actually I will bring to Slovenia, you know? It's better to, and I also, this is also part of my personality probably, but I don't want to make compromises. So if I write in Macedonian, I consider that as a writer who writes in Macedonian, I have to be a part of the Slovenian literature. And I'm a researcher also of minority and immigrant literature in Slovenia, and I always fight for all of us, around 100 writers who live in Slovenia as immigrants or minority writers who have our own right to write in our own languages. It is very difficult to do that in small countries with small languages that are very, very important for the nation, you know, for the politics, for the culture. But I think that all of us have a kind of identity, and also, like Dubravka Ugrešić, my very beloved writer from ex-Yugoslavia, always said, not only identity, but you have to have integrity, you know. So because of that, I think that it's very important you to decide what languages you will use, and even in you know, even if it is not in your use or you know success, because you write in such a small language that there are no even translators from that language to other languages. But you know, the writers, I think that have strong personalities, so it is much more important just to write and not to think about the success of the writing.
Yeah, and of course, for you to be translated in Greek, Greece should have acknowledged priorly that your language exists, you know. Because there is a language called Macedonian. And even some people in Greece speak it, you know? They exist, and you exist, I can see that. Okay. I know you exist. Okay. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, there are small languages in number, and big, and also languages that consider themselves as small. And that's a problem, you know, see themselves as small languages and therefore continue to be hermetic in many aspects. The Icelandic language is a very small language in number of speakers, but look all the achievements in, you know, in the market. Yeah, we have to. There is that word that is here, and we're not saying it's the market, but I mean, yeah, it's true. So, small and big, it's a bit, yeah, I don't know. What was the question? My language is big. Sorry. What?
If the award has helped authors from small languages overcome this barrier and reach a wider audience, that's important.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be the case. But most importantly, I think it's the attitude of each individual writer towards the general phenomenon we call language. You know, you can treat your national language in one way or another. I mean, I am pretty sure that I wouldn't be writing the stuff I write if I hadn't lived for 17 years in Paris, and throughout all those years I wasn't reading voraciously this very large genre that existed a lot in the 80s and the 90s called autofiction. And it's obviously there because I created this character that is almost me. It's not really me, but it's almost me. So it's also French in a way, you see, but it's Greek. So it's in a small language, but also in a larger one. So these things depend more on the mindset of the person. Really, it's an individual condition more than a general policy, I'd say.
Mike has mentioned a taboo word among many writers, market. Publishers talk about the market and sales. Authors mostly are interested about recognition of their talent. But what about selling your work and being able to live from your profession as an author? How has that changed a bit at all? Very much since the award?
So in my case, not at all. So I always was struggling with life. I worked for a lot of time in the field of human rights, and for this reason I lived 10 years in Latin America as well. So yes, perhaps the thing that change more, for example, are a level of translation that is really the money. So you can't live even with this price of literature. So this is not my case, but anyway, I think I will become a writer with or without the award. So this is impossible because I was started to write poetry when I was 6 years old. So for me, it's part of my way of expression, actually. So, but the price is true, then it allows me, for example, as you say, stay here with you, sharing. And for example, my publisher, that is there, Nestoras Baxicon, he's interested in my work because I have the award, no? And then he say, okay, now I'm going to support you. So now he's translating, as I said, this other novel in Greek that is don't win the award, so it's not awarded. But in my opinion, it's a novel of a mature writer, no more than the other, but it was okay, no, but was a very young woman who write, as I said. But in every day, what I do in order to following with my fiction and continue to support this thing that is Maki's talk about the power of the imagination, not really, but because even if most of my novels are linked with reality, but the base is fantasy, and the base is these magical, symbolic things, no, that are really have in the real literature. So, but I struggling every day. So I try daily to choose if I can, I try to write in the morning, and then say, okay, for me, the better part of the day is the morning, so I'm going to write even one paragraph, and then I need to work in other things to live. But anyway,
what do you mean even one paragraph? One paragraph is great per day.
Okay.
That's my maximum.
Okay, but
what do you mean?
Listen, now, for example, I am using other narrative voices that are from, imagine the Teiba, that is the sacred tree of the Mayan, or Venus, the planet, is talking. So I write this paragraph, then I reread and say, no, it's terrible. Put in the rabbis. So most of this paragraph finish in the rabbis. So yes, of course, it's one, but not every paragraph is successful.
Yeah, actually, the rights for the books are ridiculous low. It is shameful. So I don't think that we writers from small countries or so small languages, we can live from literature. We actually live from the social dimension of the literature, awards, scholarships, literary residencies, these kind of things, not from the books that are sold. Even if in North Macedonia, the novel A Spare Life is sold in 5 editions, I don't have anything of this, because only for the first edition I got a kind of fee, and after that, publisher considers that, I will buy the books, I will sell the books, but you know, the money are mine. But so far I have a new publisher in North Macedonia with my last novel, which is going also to be published in Vakikon. And I think it will be interesting for the Greek audience because it is about Nikos from Cyprus. So it is Greek actually, who during the invasion in 74 from Cyprus moved to North Macedonia, to Skopje, to live there with his wife, who is from North Macedonia. So for this novel, which now has in 1.5 years 3 editions already, I take permanently fees every 3 months, and I'm very happy about that. But you know, I live in Slovenia, so the standard in North Macedonia is totally different and very, very low. So in Slovenia, I cannot live actually with the fee from North Macedonia. But I go very often to festivals, to residencies. And for example, I was to Princeton Poetry Festival, and they gave me for only one reading $5,000. So it was, wow, I couldn't believe, you know. So such things happen, not very often, but at least once in 3 years. So yes, but yeah, we cannot live from literature. We can live for literature, but not from literature.
Yes.
Let's have a short answer from Mikis as well.
No, I'm still shocked. I thought I was shocked by the only 1 paragraph per day of Raquel, but now well, what can I say? All those numbers. Yeah, I mean, translations. You know, that's a key for a small for a small market language. Translations is a way, and in that way, and in that sense, this prize, these nominations, all that, if they can help push translations, that's a good thing. I mean, very objectively, it's a good thing. Yeah.
We're rather out of time, but we can extend it for just 2 minutes and accept 1 question. If someone has a question for our 3 authors here. Yes.
Thank you for this panel. I don't have a question. I have to underline that something that is very important in literature, 2 words that are mentioned, and I feel that I identify with them 100%, being one of your kind, integrity and universality. These 2 terms define our art, if we say, and as you mentioned, we live for, not from, but universality, and there is no local kind of literature nowhere, because even if you concentrate on a small street and describe it, there are huge writers that have written about their own local place, but they have touched thousands of readers all over the world. So I believe in those 2 universal themes and integrity of the person who's writing and to whom he's addressing. Thank you, the 3 of them.
Πολύ ωραία. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ με αυτή την πολύ ωραία και ενδιαφέρουσα συζήτηση και με τους εκλεκτούς καλεσμένους μας. Maybe I should talk in English, because you don't have a... Oh, you have a question, or you want to say something representing the European Union office? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here on different hats. I just want to say thank you, representing the head of the representation of the European Commission in Athens, for all this thing, because it's very important in an era with borders coming back, with a bang, and bigotry and hypocrisy crawling out of their black holes. So having this kind of discussions between people writing, it's very important. But I wanted especially to thank the authors, not just for the whole literature thing, but for something very specific that was actually mentioned. It's the time, it's the slowing down, it's writing one paragraph a day, it's the act of actually giving things the time they need. And for me now, it's a revolutionary act to write and actually to also read in the right way. I read in the news today that Netflix is thinking of adding a vertical video, short video function so that you can scroll from one video to the other. So it has to be fast, it has to be junk, it has to be eaten right here, right now. So the act of writing and the act of reading is resistance. Yeah. So thank you, especially.
Thank you very much. That was really a very nice quote to close this panel from a bureaucrat, let's say, because I know you work for the Office of the European Union, and thank you for being here. And I have to say also really thank you to the EUPL office in Brussels. We have a great collaboration for many years. They support a lot this kind of events. The budget for inviting all those wonderful authors every year and have the opportunity to discuss with them and exchange ideas is because of their support. So we thank them very much. We thank Anne Bergman, this great lady that supports a lot literature and authors and writers all around Europe and all around the world. And I thank you one by one for being here. Lambrini Kuzeli, thank you for the moderation and taking over this. And now, this is the end of the third International Professional Program of the 21st Thessaloniki Book Fair. And we are so delighted to invite you to a cocktail buffet with Greek food and drinks in the end of this corridor right there to celebrate this day. Thank you.